In what is perhaps some of the least surprising news I've heard in quite a while, Starfleet Academy has been canceled. This is a bummer to me because I didn't really like this show, but I like when Star Trek shows succeed, and unfortunately in this case, it didn't. Here's the actual article from Deadline. There will be no third season for Star Trek Starfleet Academy. The latest installment will end with the upcoming second season. We're incredibly proud of the ambition, passion, and creativity that went into bringing Star Trek Starfleet Academy to life. CBS Studios and Paramount Plus said in a joint statement, the series introduced audiences to a bold new group of characters, welcomed familiar faces, and expanded the Star Trek universe in exciting ways. We're grateful to the people who made it, the cast, the crew. We look forward to sharing the upcoming second and final season with everyone and continuing to celebrate the cast, crew, and all that we've accomplished with this series. Of course, the second season has already wrapped production, so we're going to get that at least. But there's not going to be a third series, and you have to ask yourself, are they done with the 32nd century? This was ostensibly a spin-off of Star Trek Discovery, which of course had two spin-offs. It had Starfleet Academy, and it had Strange New Worlds, which is going to go all the way to a fifth season. I think they've already filmed those seasons. We're about to get the fourth, and then the fifth will roll out, I think, next year. So from what I understand, though, Starfleet Academy, nobody really watched it all that much. According to the website That Park Place, Starfleet Academy Nielsen ratings show complete disaster for Star Trek. That sounds a little bit like editorializing there. But basically, the gist is it never really was able to crack the top 10 in Nielsen streaming ratings. And then according to this right here, I think it said something about it had on Paramount Plus's own internal charts, which I don't know how people get access to internal charts, but apparently it didn't do terribly well there either. On the other hand, and you know, I had heard about this going back all the way to when it had a debut on, even like on YouTube for free, that it didn't do terribly well there either. Obviously, there was a lot of push and pull in terms of the Star Trek fandom over this show, with your typical your typical allegations of, oh my God, it's so woke. How dare they have a gay Klingon? I had zero problem with there being a gay Klingon. My main problem with the Klingon was that half the time I couldn't make out what he said because they gave him a weird sort of robotic voice. There was various production issues. I'm not going to say issues, choices with Starfleet Academy that kind of took me out of it. But by and large, I just don't think the subject material was necessarily for me. Kind of the same, to be honest, with Lower Decks. I've heard great things about Lower Decks, and I've watched a couple episodes, but nothing about it really like brought me back into it. Discovery, I loved Discovery. Season 4, not as much as the other ones, but the first 3 seasons I really loved. Did I go to 5 or 4? I forget. The last season, it wasn't great. But the first couple seasons of Discovery were really, really good. The other one, Strange New Worlds. I love Strange New Worlds. This last season, couple stinkers in there, but by and large, I really like her. I'm really kind of curious where they're going to go with this whole Pike thing. Is he going to find a way to get out of being, burnt toast? I don't know. One of the real bummers about this, though, is that the damn thing is going to end on a cliffhanger, apparently. This was a chat they had with some of the creator, Noga Landau. They asked, this is from TrekMovie.com, says, when we talked to you and Gaia a couple weeks ago, you teased the season 2 finale a bit. So just to be clear, would you call it a cliffhanger? And she says, yeah, I'd say it's a cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger at the end of season 2, which is a drag. By the way, full transparency, I haven't actually watched the entirety of season 1 of Starfleet Academy. I watched up like the first couple episodes. I thought there were some good ones. There were some like all right ones. I did a review, I think, of the Jake Sisko one, which on one hand, I was really happy that it brought Sarah Clofton back as Jake Sisko to get some closure on that character. On the other hand, I really did not understand how Sam had a whole conversation with him, given that he's been dead for like 1,000 years. So it does beg the question, though, are they done with the entirety of the 32nd century? Is that a place that they're going to want to explore again? Because let's face it, Star Trek is a $1 billion franchise. It is a huge franchise. And even though now, for the first time in a very long time, there are no Star Trek television shows in active development, I'm sure what's probably going to happen is once they get this whole Warner Brothers merger thing figured out, they'll probably proceed with more Star Trek. Apparently, Alex Kurtzman, the guy who runs the whole thing, his contract is coming up very soon, which could indicate that maybe we're going to get another clean slate of Star Trek, and they'll bring somebody else on to run the thing. And I guess that's sort of what that brings us to now, which is like, what next? Where do you go from here? I think one thing that I think is a very distinct possibility, given that Paramount on the verge of buying Warner Brothers Discovery and just sinking themselves into ungodly amounts of additional debt, they might just end up finding somebody else, like another streamer. Like maybe they'll sell it or license it out to Netflix, maybe in a similar arrangement to something that like Marvel and Sony have for the Spider-Man stuff, where it's like, hey, let's get somebody else to take on some of the risk, and then we all profit because somebody else might know what they're doing better than Paramount plus CBS, whomever. In which case I could see Netflix coming in and being like, hey, Star Trek stuff performs really well here on the Netflix, and we've got ungodly amounts of money. So let's go ahead and make some Star Trek. I think that's sort of an ideal situation. And then it's just sort of a matter of like, what are they going to do with it? What should they do with it? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll give you a couple suggestions of my own. One of my favorite sci-fi shows of the past, I don't know, ever, is The Expanse. So maybe, just maybe, find whoever did that stuff and you have them do this stuff. You have them do the new Star Trek stuff. If you want somebody to sort of be there. Or, here's another idea. You can get Terry Matalas, who did the showrunner, who was the showrunner for Picard. You get him back over from Marvel because apparently he's doing the Vision series. You get him back over and you just give him the Star Trek thing and you say, Kurtzman, thanks, but no thanks, because obviously Picard was one of the most popular things to come out of New Trek because it was just basically like the final Star Trek Next Generation movie. So there's an idea as well. Here's another outside idea, and I kind of really like this one. I think they should do it. There's a little show on Apple called For All Mankind, which a lot of people really, really like. And it happens to be run by one Ronald D. Moore, who the last time we saw him in the Star Trek world anyways, was when he was leaving Voyager to go make Battlestar Galactica, which is basically realistic Voyager. And so maybe you throw a bunch of money at Ronald D. Moore to leave For All Mankind. And I think he's almost done with the Outlander stuff, if he's still involved with that stuff and whatever else he's working on. And then you bring him on and see if he wants to run Star Trek the way he would want to run Star Trek. This article from TrekMovie.com here as well has some ideas that have been pitched by various producers and writers and whatnot for other Star Trek shows that they could greenlight, that they could explore maybe. Of course, we've all heard about the Strange New World spinoff, Star Trek Year One, which is, given that they've got the sets for, the Enterprise, and they can wrap up Pike's story and transition, given that I think they're introducing Bones, and who's going to be Thomas Jane playing McCoy, and they're introducing Sulu, I think, in this season, or the final season of Strange New Worlds. They could spin that off into Year One, given that they have like half the cast, half the crew already, and all the sets already done. Would they want to explore more James Kirk? I don't know. I'm sort of pessimistic on that one. There's also the idea they could do Star Trek United, which is set after Enterprise and would bring back Jonathan Archer, played by Scott Bakula. Which I think is an absolute terrible idea because I am not a fan of Enterprise at all. And to be honest with you, every time I've seen a pitch for Star Trek United, it sounds really boring. It just does not sound very good. And so, of course, obviously, there is Terry Matalas, who wanted to do the Enterprise G with Star Trek Legacy, which would be Seven of Nine as the captain. And then you get Picard and Crusher's kid there as well, perhaps. Geordi's kid is there. You can bring in some cameos from some other people. But it would just be a spaceship. It'd be the Starship Enterprise once again in space doing its thing. Apparently, Jerry Ryan in an interview said that she was pitched on a Picard spinoff with her, but she wasn't into the idea. And evidently it wasn't her being in command of the Enterprise G. So I don't know what that would have entailed, if we'll ever find out about that or not, but apparently she wasn't interested in it. I don't know. The Legacy thing, I think I would absolutely love Legacy, especially if Terry Matalas did it. I just got done watching 12 Monkeys for the first time, and I absolutely loved that show. I was a huge fan of Picard season 3, and I feel like taking us post Voyager, post Picard season 3 with that Enterprise, I think that'd be terrific. Part of me wonders if the cost would be prohibitive, simply because a lot of those characters were created by people with a lot of stroke back in the day of Star Trek Next Generation. This is why I do think, though, that would be your market. Picard was really popular. Season 3 went over really, really well. And I think for most of the Star Trek fandom, there is a desire to see what happens next after the shows that we grew up watching, specifically Next Generation through Voyager. After those are done, after Nemesis is done, and then now after Picard season 3 is done, that's where we want it to pick up. So whatever they end up doing, do it then. I've heard plenty of talk about people wanting I think they call the Lost Era, which is in between Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, and Next Generation Season 1. Like that span of time, evidently, where they were wearing that maroon outfit the entire 100 years between then, or 80 years, whatever it is. People want to see that explored. I don't really care about that shit. I just want to know, look, there's 800 years that's unexplored between the Picard season 3 and when Discovery went 1,000 years into the future, 900 years in the future, whatever it was. There's a ton of time that you could explore there. But if you want if you want a license to print money, it's the Enterprise G. It's just that simple. It's the Enterprise G. If you want a license to print money, that's what you do. You can sort of re-explore there's all sorts of setups there that you can explore. Let's say they get, another super fast engine and they go explore where Voyager used to kick around, and you run back into those dudes with the crazy hair, the Kazon. Is that what they were called? Whatever they were called, the Kazon Nistra. Did I get that right? It was the Kazon. Look at me. So I think that is not the Kazon. That's not the good stuff. But that era, that is a license to print money. It really is. It's absolutely, even if they don't use any legacy characters, even if you shift over what comes after G, H, do the Enterprise H, do that. And then just a brand new group of people, maybe 7 in the pilot, sends them on their way, which would be a shame. I really would love to see 7 as a captain. I think that'd be amazing. Bring Todd Stashwick back from Picard season 3. Boy, Picard season 3 was really good. You can bring Wesley Crusher into it. I don't know. I just feel like it's the most obvious thing you can do. Why not just do the fucking thing? And here's the thing, too. I'm going to bring this up really quick because Starfleet Academy, apparently the purpose of Starfleet Academy was let's introduce a new generation of recruits to a new generation, potentially, of fans. Let's appeal to young people. There is nothing that will bring young people on board quicker than just putting out something good. When I was in my teens, I loved Star Trek Next Generation. It was a ship run by a 60-year-old dude. There was an android on it. There was a Klingon on it. There was nothing about that was oh, let's target this towards youth. No, it was just a smartly written show. My 11-year-old's favorite show is Fringe. There's nothing about that show that's hey, let's target 10 and 11-year-olds. No, it's just really good. She loves Lost. She watched 12 Monkeys with me. She loves that. Just if you make something that's good, it doesn't matter what the demographic of the cast is in terms of the age. Just make something that's good and put it out there, and you can't go wrong with that. So for my money, they should probably consider at this point, if you're going to start from scratch, start from basics, what are people into? People want to see them explore the post-Picard season 3 universe. Just do that. There's my 2 cents for you. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's been 38 days since I dropped a new video, And I'm going to try to make sure that it's not another 38 days before I drop another one. I want to be more active on this channel. I just got to find more things to talk about. But I figured the first channel on this, the first video on this sort of the revamped version of this channel was a Starfleet Academy review where I said the problem with it. Well, evidently I didn't listen because nobody watched the damn thing. So there you go. Anyways.